The Enchanted Library was quiet again. Golden lights shimmered across the endless shelves, and thousands of magical books rested peacefully. But not for long. High above the shelves, a strange sound echoed. Crack. Lila looked up quickly. A large blue book trembled on one of the tallest shelves. Its cover was covered in frost. The title slowly appeared in glowing silver letters. The Frozen Clock Tower. Quill floated beside her, his paper wings fluttering nervously. "This story is in danger," he whispered. Another crack spread across the book's cover. Tiny pieces of ice fell to the floor. "What's happening?" Lila asked. Quill sighed softly. Time has stopped inside that world. Before Lila could say another word, the book burst open in a flash of icy wind. And once again, Lila was pulled inside. She landed in the middle of a silent city. Everything was covered in ice. Snow hung frozen in the air. A bird floated above her, unmoving. It was as if the entire world had paused. In the distance stood a tall tower made of silver stone. At its top was a giant clock, but the clock hands were not moving. They were stuck. Lila stepped forward slowly. "What happened here?" A quiet voice answered her. "We ran out of time." A small boy appeared from behind a frozen fountain. His coat was covered in frost, but he was somehow still moving. "My name is Orion," he said. "And the tower has stopped." He pointed toward the giant clock. "That clock controls time for our entire kingdom." Quill suddenly appeared beside Lila. "The story stealer has been here," he said quietly. A deep rumbling echoed across the frozen city. Dark shadows began forming around the clock tower. The same shadow creature was returning, but this time it was stronger. "If the clock doesn't move again," Orion said, "our world will stay frozen forever." Lila stared at the tall tower. "I'll fix it," she said. The three of them ran through the frozen streets toward the tower doors. Inside, giant gears and glowing wheels filled the walls. But everything had stopped. Not a single gear was turning. In the center of the room stood a frozen crystal. Inside it was a dark shadow, the story stealer. It had trapped time itself. Lila took a deep breath. "How do we restart the clock?" Quill looked around quickly. "This tower runs on something stronger than magic." "Then what?" Quill smiled gently. "Hope." Lila walked to the frozen gears. She placed her hands on the cold metal. Then she spoke loudly. "This kingdom still has a future." One small gear twitched. Orion stepped forward. "We will keep building our city." Another gear turned. Quill fluttered higher. "And this story will never be forgotten." Suddenly, the crystal shattered. The shadow creature screamed as bright golden light filled the tower. The gears began spinning, faster and faster. Outside the tower, the giant clock hands finally moved. Tick, tock. Snow began falling again. Birds flew across the sky. The frozen city burst back to life. Time had returned. Moments later, the world shimmered. Lila felt the familiar pull. She was lifted back into the Enchanted Library. The blue book in her hands now glowed warmly. Quill smiled proudly. Another story saved, but before Lila could celebrate, the library lights flickered. A loud rumble shook the shelves. Far away in the dark corner of the library, a massive ancient book slowly began to open. Black mist seeped from its pages. Lila's eyes widened. "What story is that?" Quill looked worried for the first time. "That," he said quietly, "is the Book of the Lost Dragon, and somewhere deep inside the library, something was waking up."